Hypothesis 15. How and when we should seek medical treatment and what kind of treatment. That the monk should not leave his monastery for bodily healing, but should persevere there even if he is ill, being content with the care provided by his brothers. A. From the Gerontikon. 1. It is related about the bishop of Gerontikos, Aphi by name, that when he was in the desert he observed a very austere way of life. When he became bishop, he wanted to practice the same austerity in the world, but lacked the strength to do so. He prostrated himself before God, saying, "Has grace perhaps departed from me because of my episcopal office?" And the following answer was revealed to him. Grace has not left you. Back then you were in the desert, and God looked after you, since there were no human beings nearby. Now, however, you are in the world, and there are people to take care of you. 2. There was an elder living in Scetis who became seriously ill, and who was looked after by his brothers. When he saw that the brothers were growing weary on his account, he said, "I will go to Alexandria, so as not to exhaust my brothers." But Abba Moses told him, "Do not go to Alexandria, for if you do, you will fall to fornication." Upset at this advice, the elder replied, "My body is dead, and you tell me this?" 3. And so the elder departed for Alexandria. When the people heard of his arrival, they brought him many gifts. Among them was a certain virgin, who came forward in good faith to serve the elder, and the two of them became acquainted with each other. But when, after some time, the elder recovered, he sinned with her, and she became pregnant. 4. Seeing her in this state, people asked how she had conceived. "It was that elder," she replied. They did not believe her, but the elder said to them, "It was I, but please take care of the child after it is born." 5. And so, after the child had been born and weaned, the elder came and took it and went back with it to Scetis. After waiting for a feast day to fall, he went to the church and entered in view of all the people, carrying the child on his shoulders. 6. When they saw this, the brothers wept. But the elder said to them, "Do you see this child? He is the son of disobedience. Thus guard yourselves, brothers, for I committed this sin in my old age, and pray for me." And then departed to his cell and resumed his previous way of life. 7. A certain brother bitten by a snake went to the city for medical treatment. A devout and God-fearing woman took him in her house and healed him. But when the monk felt some slight relief from his pain, the devil began to sow shameful thoughts in him toward the woman, and so, when she came in as usual to look after him, the brother touched her hand. 8. Realizing that the devil was waging war against the brother, she said to him, "No, Father, take care. You have Christ. You have put on Christ. You wear the angelic schema. Think of the sorrow and the remorse that you'll experience later on when you are sitting in your cell. Call to mind the sighs, the tears that you will shed in abundance, and the hardships that you will suffer because of some brief and putrid pleasure." 9. On hearing the words of that prudent woman, the monk was ashamed, unable even to look her in the face. He wanted to run away. But with the tender mercy of Christ, she restrained him and said to him, "Do not change your mind and leave. You are not completely cured. Stay a little longer, for you need further treatment." And these evil thoughts did not come from your pure soul, but were suggestions of the envious devil. Having thus persuaded him to remain a little longer, when she had healed him, she gave him provisions for the journey and let him depart in peace. Commentary by Father Paul EVERGETINOS. Do you see how this brother, on account of his lack of hope in God and his faint-heartedness, went without fear into the city to be cured of a physical ailment? Do you see how he was abandoned by divine grace and overwhelmed by the enemy? He would certainly have fallen into the sin of fornication if this amazing woman had complied, but it was she who upheld him and prevented him from falling completely. Let us fear such a fall as this and keep watch over ourselves. B. From St. Diadochos. 1. There is nothing to prevent us from calling doctors when we fall ill. Since the science of medicine was destined to be discovered at some time through human experimentation, natural remedies were already in existence for this purpose. However, we should not place our hope of healing in doctors, but in our true Savior and Physician, Jesus Christ. 2. I say this to those living in Cenobia, or practicing self-control in cities, because by reason of the conditions in which they live, they cannot uninterruptedly maintain an active life of faith through love. Moreover, I say this so that they might not fall into vainglory or diabolical temptation, whereby some proclaim that they have not needed doctors for many years. 3. But if one is living the anchoritic life in more remote regions with 2 or 3 like-minded brethren, whatever illnesses he may fall into, let him approach with faith the Lord alone, who heals all manner of sickness and all manner of disease. Matthew 4:23. For after the Lord, he has the desert as sufficient consolation in sickness. 4. Hence, such a monk never lacks the opportunity to exercise faith. Indeed, he finds no outlet to make a display of the virtue that derives from his patience, since he has the desert for a veil to shield him from vainglory. For this reason, the Lord settleth solitaries in an house. Psalm 67, verse 7. C. From St. Barsanouphios. 1. A brother asked an elder, "Since you have judged me fit to serve in the infirmary, tell me, Father, whether I ought to read medical books and achieve proficiency in this area by myself, or is it better for me not to worry about such things, and to avoid them on the grounds that they distract my mind, lest they engender vainglory in me without my realizing it? Should I be content with the practical knowledge that I possess, doing whatever I can with ointments, poultices, and embrocations, and in general employing such techniques as those who do not read medical books endeavor to use?" 2. The elder replied, "Since we have not yet attained to perfection, so as to be completely freed from the captivity of the passions, it is more advantageous for us to meditate on medical matters than on the bodily energies. However, we should not place our hope in medicine, but in God, who puts to death and gives life, and says, 'I will smite and I will heal,' Deuteronomy 32:39. Therefore, if you consult medical books or ask anyone about medical matters, do not forget that without God no one is healed. He who applies himself to the art of medicine should do so in God's name, and God will help him. The science of medicine does not prevent anyone from being pious, but look upon it as the brothers look upon their manual work. Do what you do with fear of God, and you will maintain the integrity of your calling." 3. The brother said, "Father, you have told me on other occasions that one cuts off his own will by never striving to impose his own will or his own ideas on others. What if I offer a sick person something beneficial and it actually harms him? In such instances, I feel distressed at having done my own will. I also notice that I am distracted all day long and scarcely have an opportunity so as much to remember God. Tell me then, what am I to do? For I believe that my salvation resides in my work." 4. The elder replied, "If you insist on thinking that this remedy is beneficial for the sick person, and it turns out that he is harmed by it, God, who regards the heart, will not condemn you, for he knows that although you harmed this person, you wanted to help him. But if someone who is experienced tells you what to do, and you disdain to listen to him, and do what you think is best, this is arrogance and self-will." 5. With respect to distraction, listen to what I have to say. Many people hear all the time about such and such a city, and it happens that they enter it, not knowing that this is the city in question. Brother, you are in remembrance of God the whole day long, and you are not aware of it? For to have a commandment and to strive to devote yourself to fulfilling it constitutes both submission to your superiors and remembrance of God. 6. Brother John, Barsanouphios, famed fellow ascetic, put it well when he said, "First, throw out the leaves, that is, the workings of the passions, and by God's commands you will throw out also the fruits, that is, the passions themselves. Therefore, if you do not know what is profitable for you, follow those who do know. This is humility, and in it you will find the grace of God. You were right in saying that your salvation resides in your work, for it was not without God's will that you came here, rather, God guided you here." 7. Be strong in the Lord, Ephesians 6:10, for you reap no small benefit from the distraction of which you speak. D. From St. Ephraim, 1. Do not neglect one who is ill, for it is written, "He who stoppeth his ears from hearing the infirm shall himself also cry, and there shall be none to hear him." Proverbs 21, verse 13. 2. If your brother is suffering, suffer with him, so that you might be counted worthy to hear from the Lord on the day of judgment. Inasmuch as ye have done it unto one of the least of these my brethren, ye have done it unto me. Matthew 25, verse 40. 3. He who neglects the infirm angers God, who punishes him, and he who rejoices in the fall of his brother will himself experience a terrible fall. 4. My beloved, if you have expertise in the science of medicine and are able to cure people, be vigilant, lest in your desire to heal others you show yourself to be full of passions. As the apostle says, "Let not your good be evil spoken of," Romans 14, verse 16. End of hypothesis 15.